Hi, everyone. My name is Amy Elias, and I am the director of the UT Humanities Center. And I'm glad you can join us today. We're streaming live on Facebook from the campus of the University of Tennessee on Big Orange Give Day. And Big Orange Give Day is a giving day for the University of Tennessee, where you have the opportunity to support departments, schools, and programs that you really find valuable and that make a difference in your life and in our students and faculty's lives. So today you can go to the Big Orange Give page, which is posted on our Facebook site, to give to the College of Arts and Sciences, to give to the university overall, to give to specific programs, but you can also give to the University of Tennessee Humanities Center. And I hope you do, because today we have this wonderful opportunity. We have an anonymous donor who has given us a matching gift of $5,000, which means that if you give today, we could double that amount. He'll match or she'll match whatever gift we get during the course of the day up to $5,000. So I hope you can give to us today so we can make that match total. But I also hope you give to us because we want to keep our programming free and public. We want to keep growing and diversifying the programs that we offer to students, to faculty, and to the public. And we're here today to talk about two of those initiatives. You might have heard our wonderful fellows talk a little while ago at Chandler Seminar. Today, in this session, we'd just like to talk to you a little bit about two things you might not associate with a humanities center, which is what we call digital humanities, computer work and data science work, and also environmental humanities, work with ecology, environmentalism, and eco arts. And so I've invited into this session some of the people who are working with the Humanities Center right now on both of those initiatives. And I thought we could just have a chat and you can find out more about what we're doing. So I think we'll start with the digital humanities. And we have some people here who are working on that. So I'm just going to let you guys pop in and say hello and say something about what digital humanities are at the University of Tennessee and how you're involved with the Humanities Center in relation to that initiative.
I mean, maybe I'll go first. My name's Hilary Havens. I'm an associate professor in the English department, Amy's colleague, and I'm also the director of the certificate program for graduate students in digital humanities. And I'm teaching right now a class on the introduction and the theory to digital humanities. And it's a really great way for my students to learn how to incorporate new digital methodologies with their own research and interests to, appeal to a broader audience, to find new things about the texts or the topics that they already work on, and also to make them more marketable too. The digital humanities is, develops students' skill sets. And it's also a great way of sort of intervening in the technologies that shape our world and also questioning these technologies. What are the ethics, underlying things like algorithms that, when we type something into Google, how do things, a search engine is not ethically neutral. But I'll hand this over to anybody else.
Well, I'm wondering if you could start also just like this might be a new term to some people who are listening. And when you say digital humanities, what do you guys mean? What is that?
I mean, and everybody else feel free to chime in. I usually take the digital humanities as sort of using digital and technological approaches and sometimes new media approaches to have been folded in to understanding traditional humanities disciplines. But there can also be more expansive definitions of that as well. I've seen many.
Maybe I could chime in here just to give our audience another example of what we're talking about. If you were a really avid reader and you were able to read a novel a day for every single day of your life, you could probably read, I don't know, several thousand novels. But if you're a computer, you could do that exact same work in seconds, nanoseconds. And so one of the ideas behind the digital humanities is using technology to answer questions that that people couldn't answer on their own, but that machine technology, and of course we are lucky to be close to Oak Ridge, which has some very massive resources in this regard, but questions that computers can answer much more easily, and indeed more quickly. And so there's that, but there's also the dimension of visualizing data, like how you can present results that are generated from these kinds of things. So using mapping technology or that kind of thing, just to give a few examples.
And Dan, that was Dan Magilow, who is—
Oh, sorry, I should have introduced myself.
He's a professor in the Department of Modern Foreign Languages and Literatures at UTK. And we also have Amir Sadovnik here from the Department of Computer Science. And Amir, why are you here? You're not in the humanities. Why are you here?
Yeah, hi, my name is Amir Sadovnik. I'm an assistant professor in the electrical engineering and computer science. My research has to do mostly with machine learning and computer vision, so looking at images and stuff like that. The reason I'm here is, first of all, because I like humanities, but the more technical reason is because I'm actually working with Amy and Hilary on a humanities, developing an undergraduate humanities computing curriculum, where the idea is developing courses that will be co-taught and kind of also organized around ideas from both humanities and computing. And there's a few kind of ideas behind it. One is, as kind of Hilary and Dan said, kind of bringing computing tools into humanities, helping analyze data. Also, a lot of the data right now, a lot of the data is digital. So how do we deal with the digital data? So that's one side of things. But there's also this idea of how do we bring more humanities into the computer science, understanding kind of the ethics of what computers and algorithms are doing, and kind of using those same kind of methods of inquiry that are used in humanities and apply them to code or algorithms or things like that. And so I find that marriage between humanities and computing is really fascinating. And so I'm looking forward to kind of see how this program develops. I think it's exciting.
One of the Jeff, I'm going to hold you till last in a moment. What Jeffrey Amos is a graduate student in creative writing at the University of Tennessee in the Department of English. And he's our linchpin between these two conversations because he's taking a course with Dr. Hilary Havens in a graduate course in digital humanities, Introduction to Digital Humanities. And he's also involved in the environmental humanities initiatives here and is in his own work as a creative writer and also working with the Humanities Center on a lot of those initiatives. So maybe let's talk about the environmental humanities a bit and see what they are. And then Jeff, I'm going to bring you in and see what squinting in both directions, like what is, especially as a graduate student, your experience of all this. But Maria, I wanted to introduce you for a second, or if you could introduce yourself and talk about your involvement in the environmental humanities here.
Oh, yes, I'm happy to. I'm going to try to be as brief as possible because there are many initiatives going on. But I'm Maria Stehle from Modern Foreign Languages and Literature and a professor of German. And my work has been interdisciplinary, so I've also worked in cinema studies and women, gender, and sexuality. But my involvement with the environmental humanities is mainly at the moment by running together with Amy Elias a research seminar, a faculty research seminar that's entitled Just Environments. And that faculty research seminar is actually, so we have a core group of faculty and graduate students at UT that are part of the seminar, but it is also part of a consortium that is broader. So there are other centers across the United States that are involved in this. And so sometimes we have joint sessions. We have really amazing speakers that we have had for this semester already, most notably recently Robert Bullard, which was an amazing honor to have sort of the father of Black ecology here and talk to us. So that was amazing. And we do work in progress presentations. And again, the idea is similar, that we're trying to bring together humanities scholars and scholars in other fields, in the sciences, obviously social sciences, but also sciences, and maybe even agriculture to talk to each other, because the idea is that there are some broad complicated questions that we're facing at this moment that are urgent, that not one discipline can't solve on its own. So I think this is maybe the short version, but there's another very exciting initiative that's part of this project this year, that is the Black Ecologies Week. And our seminar is participating in the Black Ecologies Week, and the faculty showcase is the idea. But beyond that, there are just really an amazing slate of events planned to, again, bring, and not only interdisciplinary researchers, but also community organizers together to talk and to try to tackle some of these really complicated and important issues of our time.
Yes, and I note, like, this is how the Humanities Center can help and support. The job of the Humanities Center is to support research at the University of Tennessee and the 9 departments that we represent, but also to support interdisciplinary research that connects the arts and humanities to other fields on campus and nationwide. And so, for digital humanities, we now have in conjunction with the Office of Research, a community of scholars that is really university based. It's not just located in the School of College of Arts and Sciences. We have a faculty fellowship funded by UT Libraries, which a faculty member can spend 1 semester at the Humanities Center to focus in on a project that they're working on related to digital humanities. We have, as Dr. Havens noted, a new graduate certificate in digital humanities, which allows graduate students to do their major, but also add to it proficiency and credentialing in digital humanities work, which will help them in all kinds of ways once they enter the job market. And we also, there's something else, I don't know what else we have, but I'm forgetting something, but we're supporting these kinds of initiatives. And with the environmental humanities, we run a research seminar for faculty, which again is sort of interdisciplinary and campus-wide, which brings scholars together from the social sciences, the natural sciences, the arts and humanities to talk about intersections of their research around environmentalism, and from eco arts, art exhibitions about environmental issues, to biology and what's happening with fungal research now that it impacts environmental knowledge, right? So we have a research seminar, and then we have these other larger initiatives which bring together different campuses, different departments on campus around shared interests. So the Black Ecologies Week that Dr. Stehle mentioned will happen in the spring, and that's just all kinds of departments and community partners who have decided that this is understanding the relationship between race, social justice, and environmentalism is very important. And we want to get together during 1 week and contribute events together to explore, all right, how we can and learn about this area of inquiry. So it's when you support the Humanities Center, it's not like you're supporting one thing. You're supporting activities that reach out to all the arts and humanities departments, but also to other colleges, other units on campus, and actually internationally. We now have a national consortium starting to build of humanities centers that are interested in environmental humanities. So I've been partnering with the University of California, Irvine, the University of Utah, Furman University, University of Colorado, and others who are interested in this issue, and we're starting to build a national consortium together. So it's really exciting what you can do with an initiative that's themed around a certain kind of idea. So Jeff, I'm going to bring you in as a graduate student who's doing all this, right? I was wondering if you wanted to comment on your experience with these 2 areas, particularly through the Humanities Center this year.
Yeah, my thinking on these things changes so frequently that I'll try and find a nutshell to put this in. But for me, one of the things with the environmental component as a creative writer, what I'm the way I get energized about my work is I feel like storytelling is so crucial to the way that we think about the environment, especially with the numerous, environmental issues that we're facing right now. So for me, that approach as a storyteller, thinking about the way that those intersect is really, really vital. And plugging in the digital humanities opens that up in a different way. I'm particularly attracted to the ability to tell stories in kind of non-linear structures, right? Enabled through something like GIS, right? Geographical Information Systems, where we're thinking about storytelling on a map that becomes interactive, right? In the ways that we can now start seeing how this story over here connects to this story over here, even if, despite the fact that in a book, right, those things might be miles away from each other, not just geographically miles, but conceptually miles away from each other. And so bringing both of these things together and the opportunities that I've had here at the Humanities Center has been just, has really opened up a lot of the work that I'm doing, both creatively and critically so far this year. Yeah.
Well, you've done great work. And I guess we should note also the range when we talk about digital humanities. This can be geospatial mapping. So we have people, in archaeology or related to our Department of Classics who are interested in taking archaeological digs and mapping them in certain kinds of ways, so that through digitally, so they can appear not only graphically on the screen, so you can see them right on the screen in certain kinds of ways, in maybe 3D, or that kind, a multi-dimensional perspective, but also to input their data into that, so that you start to have data calculations about that site generated through this mapping process. And we also have, Dr. Havens, would you just give an example of your work, just very briefly, the kind of textual work that you do?
I mean, I do a few different types of textual work. I mean, I've used image manipulation software to recover deleted passages from texts by applying like layers and some filters and programs like Adobe Photoshop. And I also am using TEI encoding to help build the correspondence of this author, Mariah Edgeworth, who was, instead of Jane Austen, actually the most popular author during the Regency period, and a really good author, but she often gets overlooked by people, who focus on the major canon and Austen. But she has so many letters, and they're not published in an edition, and they're scattered through various archives. So I've been working for the past few years with collaborators at Wake Forest University, Texas A&M, and Xavier University of Louisiana to build a digital archive that's open access and dedicated to her work. And that's something like the digital humanities affords, creating like an open to the public archive of these letters.
That's great. And Dan Magilow is our Humanities Center faculty digital fellow. I don't know what order those things go in, but he is our faculty fellow in digital humanities this year. Dan, you want to just say a few sentences about what you're working on?
I have a project that is aspirational, which is to say that it's probably not a project that I'll be able to finish, but it's certainly one I could get started. I'm like Maria Stehle, I'm a German professor as well. My work is in Holocaust studies. I'm the co-editor-in-chief of the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum's journal, Holocaust and Genocide Studies. And so I do a lot of work with colleagues at the museum. And one project that's kind of ongoing is looking at photo albums and photographs that belong to just German soldiers, basically. And the things that they took pictures of are sometimes very different than the kinds of things you would see in your history books. So the question is, if we were able to look at a whole bunch of these images and look for patterns in them, in what they show or in the way they were produced, perhaps that can tell us new things about the ways that perpetrators of genocide looked at what it was they were doing, because in some cases they seem like they were even enjoying themselves, sadly. The digital humanities have a lot of tools that I'm going to be exploring and learning a lot more about during my residency next spring.
Thank you. Well, we're out of time, so I just wanted to say thank you to you all. I hope those of you who are listening can hear the huge range that we're talking about here, how these scholars are bringing in new methodologies and new perspectives to really energize arts and humanities work, but also allows us to communicate and collaborate with other fields in really fascinating and interesting ways. And a lot of the research these days is going in that direction. Interdisciplinary, collaborative, teams-based research is really interesting and can add a lot to what we do. So I hope you got a little bit of insight into the digital humanities and environmental humanities initiatives that we have going on, and how the Humanities Center is trying to support new research at the University of Tennessee. Thank you all for being here and talking about what you do today. And for those of you who are watching, I hope you can support us during Big Orange Give. And I thank you for watching. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.